All right, folks, hello and welcome to our meeting tonight. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope everyone is sitting in a nice, cool air conditioner and fans. I know I have a few going, so apologies if there's any extra background noise on my end tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and share here in the chat a copy of this evening's agenda. One moment here. Okay, so everyone who'd like to follow along, the agenda is there in chat. And otherwise, we will just do our quick normal welcomes. If this is the first time you're joining us for one of our virtual meetings, thank you for being here. We do ask that everyone remain on mute unless you're presenting or asking a question during a question and answer period. If you do happen to stay unmuted or accidentally unmute, I will probably mute you just to make sure everything is quiet for the folks who are presenting. No offense meant, just making sure that everyone is able to be heard very easily. So we will move on to the first portion of our meeting, which is our treasurer's report, and I'm going to turn the floor over to Eric.
Hi, Jess. I don't know if you just saw my, everyone, I'm having computer laptop problems. So unfortunately, we will send the reports out after this. We can send them out. I can talk through them, but I'm not able to share them tonight.
I was able to download them if you want me to try to share my screen.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great, Lauren. Thank you. Sorry, everybody. Hello. Technology here. Perfect. Okay, so we've got the balance sheet up. So first of all, let me point out two things. We did transfer $3,000 out of savings into checking because we had gotten low without our normal income for that we usually used to from business memberships, the garden tour, etc. We had some larger expenses at the beginning of the year. So you'll see the $4,000 plus $200 in checking. That includes the $3,000 transfer. And so savings, you'll also see then the balance on the savings account has gone down $3,000 for that transfer. So just wanted to make sure that we continue to have a positive balance in the checking account, which is why we went ahead and moved that $3,000. So we're going to start very closely watching our expenses and trying where we can to make adjustments and ensure that we continue to be very fiscally minded with the association's money until we're able to bring in our normal revenue streams. The other thing that I would note down the scholarship fund. So I've got to call the bank. We've got a kind of an accounting error with the bank on, they cashed one of our scholarship checks twice, and I didn't catch it until I was running the reports. And so that really should be up $1,000. So really our balance is around $2,300 there. We also had another $170 in the online scholarship fundraiser that had come in that's not accounted for there. So we really will have around $2,500 in the scholarship fund. And so when that gets paid out, then that, $4,000 above will be down the $2,000. So I'll be talking to the bank to correct that. Any questions on the balance sheet? Okay. So Lauren, if we can switch over to the income statement report.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. So here, not a lot of activity for the month. It was actually a pretty relatively quiet month. A little bit, one household membership came in on the residential. We did also secure a reduced COVID payment for our rent of the info center of $300 instead of $500. That will end after this month, and we'll go back to the $500. We did get that for 3 months, and this will be the last of the 3 months. We had the normal utilities come in, and then you can see that grant expense is that extra $1,000 that the bank cashed twice. So once we talk to them and get that fixed, then that will go back up. Or that will net out actually. So any questions? Like I said, pretty relatively quiet month for us.
So I guess I just want to understand net income loss. Where is that money coming from that or are you saying it will pretty much breaking even?
The net income loss for the month, the $1,300, that includes the extra $1,000 incorrect cash check that was cashed incorrectly. So once that is reversed, then we'll be only down $300 for the month of June.
Because
For
I'm
the
seeing
year,
net income for the year. Okay.
yeah. So for the year, we're down $6,000. Halfway through the year. So if that continues, we'll be down $12,000, by the end of the year.
And where does that money come from that we are down?
So that money then we've had to then pay out of the cushion that we had in the checking account, which has now been reduced, and we've had to then borrow out of the savings account to be able to make our payments.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I have a question. This is Sarah Rowell. Is there any talk about how to mitigate some of that, as in maybe get rid of the info center?
So we did take that to the vote to the association at the beginning of the year, because that's our biggest expense, and the association voted to continue to keep the info center for the rest of this year as long as we had funds that were available. And so that's what we're now trying to work through with additional expense management.
Is there a cutoff as to when to think that over again? I mean, you said with funds available, is there a number that we're going to hit and say, wait, this really isn't going to work?
Yeah, that's actually a good question, Sarah. So one we've been talking about on the board as well. So I think we're looking at all those options, not opposed to bringing it back to another conversation sooner than end of the year. We definitely don't have to wait that long. We did do some of the math originally when we had that initial conversation, and we would need approximately $300 anyways for storage space that we would have to buy. So that would probably bring bring our total for utilities and then rent it would cut it about in half. So it's not like we're going to be completely able to reduce all the monthly expenses, but we would be able to reduce it in half. But once we get rid of it, then we'll never probably be able to get that space at that price again. So I think that's what we were waiting to see, if anything, improved or changed.
Okay, thanks, Eric.
Yep. Good question. All right. If there aren't any other questions, I'll turn it back to you, Jess. Thanks.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you, Lauren, for sharing. Okay, awesome. All right, we're going to move on to our zoning variance application that we have this evening. Before I turn the floor over to our zoning chair, Lauren Cardoni, I'll just give everyone a quick refresher of what our process looks like now. So this process will occur in 3 stages. We will have a 5-minute period for the applicants to present a list of the variances that they're requesting. Lauren will actually be pulling a document up on the screen to show the listing of variances, everything that we will be voting on. After their 5-minute presentation, we will then move into a 5-minute question period. We will take questions from everyone and document those on the screen in the same document where we list all of the different variances that are being requested. And once all questions have been asked, we'll move into the final period, an additional 5 minutes, where we ask the applicant to respond to all of those questions. So you'll ask your question and then it won't actually get answered until the end. That way we can make sure if there's duplication in questions that we can keep everything streamlined so that everyone can get their questions asked and answered at the end. So Lauren, I will turn the floor over to you, and when we're ready to move into questions, folks, if you can just use the hand raise option in Zoom, I'll be calling on everyone to go through those questions.
Great, thank you, Jess, and good evening, everyone. So we are looking at a proposal over on 359 Freebus. So if you're familiar with the Parsons Kroger, it is the series of parking lots just to the northwest across Moeller. So they're empty parking lots right now that are being proposed for some new housing. So we have David Hodge and Aaron Crace on the line with us this evening to talk a little bit more about the proposal. And just a quick reminder, I don't know how many of you were on a few months back. They came previously to share some conceptual ideas for developing the same property, got some feedback from us and have significantly changed the proposal based on that. So I will let David take it away.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. I was just looking at doing a share screen, and I think the architect, Kevin, is on, or maybe even Aaron. Could one of you guys do the share screen of the document that Kevin circulated earlier today? All right.
What's this, Dave?
That's great. Thank you. And I'm glad you mentioned the previous proposal that we were here on. And I don't even know when that was anymore. It was a computer meeting, so it must have been during COVID at some point. Lots of questions generated from that. It was a very, very radically different project, the one that you are about to see. Almost wish I had that rendering and that site plan here for folks to take a look at, but if you were here, you'll most certainly remember that. This is a strange situation with this sort of overflow old Kroger parking lot in the middle of a residential neighborhood. We were able to work with Kroger here a year or so ago, and Aaron Crease was able to acquire the property from Kroger with the goal of eventually coming forward with a project. Kroger had it for overflow parking. You know, it must have been at a time where it was required due to a parking reduction being necessary at the Kroger under an old code. Certainly that's no longer the case. And I don't think anybody here would argue that having a surface parking lot in the middle of a residential neighborhood is an appropriate use of the land. So we've studied this pretty extensively. Aaron has studied it extensively, handed it off to the capable architects over at Gunzelman. We have filed formally an application with the city. The first application is to simply change the zoning district of the property from the existing R2F. It's bizarre that it's R2F and it's a parking lot, but it is. So that application is to change from R2F to an AR1 apartment residential district. Along with that is a companion council variance request, and the council variance request allows us to incorporate some development standard variances. As everybody here at Merion Village knows, you've seen a million of these now, some development standard variances, and it allows us to make a commitment to architectural character and a site plan, which neighborhoods like to see and the city likes to see, so that at the end of the day, when this goes to council, there's a hard and fast commitment about how the property is going to develop. So Kevin, flip down to the site plan, if you would. So several variances to discuss. We have, along the southern portion of the property, a one-way entrance coming northbound off of Moeller. And Kevin, maybe you can take your mouse and kind of move over there. Yeah. So the code requires that be 20 feet in width. We have requested a variance to reduce that down to 14 feet. The city code, as it currently exists, would require that there be 30 parking spaces associated with the project. We have requested a variance to reduce that down to 27 parking spaces. We have some vision clearance, and that is at both locations, at the Phoebus entrance and the Moeller entrance, to reduce from a 10-foot triangle to a 5-foot triangle. You know, these vision clearance issues, I know those are some that you see all the time too. I've done several of them. That's really, all of these are really kind of suburban standards in an urban neighborhood. So the traffic management folks in the city's public service department will review the site plan. We feel that reducing those clear vision triangles to what we're proposing is appropriate and acceptable from a traffic engineering perspective, but the city will review that. The northern portion of the property here, kind of the northeast corner here, we have a single family residence. So we have to have a use variance here to allow a single family residence to be in the apartment residential district. Building coverage increasing from a maximum of 50% to 56% here. We have building setback lines. The city code would require that these buildings be set back 25 feet from the right of way, which is just straight up nonsense in this neighborhood because nothing is set back 25 feet from the right of way. So we have a variance to reduce that to 5. We also have some perimeter yard and rear yard issues, reducing those from, again, 25 feet to 5 along the west side and 3 along the east and rear. So generally, the request is to change the zoning to an apartment residential district to allow us to commit to this site plan and to commit to the architecture. Kevin, you might flip over to the architecture so folks can get a sense of what this is going to look like. And to vary those development standards. So I'll stop there. I think you said that somebody will eventually share that list of variances on the screen, but maybe I'll kick it over to Kevin now, and Kevin can touch just for a minute or so, however much time we have left, on why he did what he did from an architectural perspective, or even Aaron, if you'd prefer to give that explanation.
Yeah, well, I'll chime in, Dave, on a couple of things. Hi, everyone. I'm Kevin Parzik with Gunzelman Architecture and Interiors. And we've taken a look at the project from a standpoint of really, we're excited about this courtyard condition that we can create in the center of the project that allows people to really have a front door experience for the most part in these units, while also having attached garages. Given the unique layout of the site, this allows us to get a lot of the garage spaces. So the parking variance request, is not quite as aggressive as some other development we've seen. We're at, a ratio of about 1.3 or so per unit. The variance, the requirement for the zoning is 1.5, and we've seen as many as 1-to-1 parking ratios be approved recently. So the idea is, while most units have attached garages, there are some units over here without them, but they have standalone garage spaces here. So we have 10 units to the far west of the site. There are 10 garage parking spaces and attached garages in this sort of eastern center section of the project. 3 townhouses fronting Moeller. That's that building elevation here. So we're incorporating some pitched roofs and a fairly small sort of building frontage compared to the rest of the project. These longer elevations here are our courtyard views of the building on either side. It's a 3-story buildings typically throughout. And then down at the bottom here, this is the Phoebus elevation. Here's our single family house, again, picking up on some pitched roofs to sort of match the character of the neighborhood, but also to make the property, more diverse as a development. So it will have a neighborhood feel, we think. And then these are the 2 sort of longer buildings that front Phoebus as well, with the courtyard in the center. I think that's probably about it for our time. So I think I'm happy to yield back unless Aaron has anything else he'd like to add in. Okay, thanks everybody.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to turn the floor over. Lauren will bring the list of variances and voting items up on the screen so everyone can see exactly what they'll be voting on this evening. And then I will open the floor if anyone would like to use the raise hand feature. If you have a question that you'd like to ask, I'll certainly call on you and we'll get those documented. So let me 1 second here, just allow Lauren to get that up on the screen and have that available. Okay. All right, so Mark Huckabee.
Hey, good evening. Thanks for the presentation. I'm going to be a few doors down from this residence. I have grave concerns about it. I thought the original plan showed our alleyway not being closed. Was that correct in the original plan? That we had to drive out our alley out to the Moeller Street side, and that's gone now? Around the back of that garage?
They'll answer questions at the end portion, Mark, but we will definitely get that documented.
The other thing was, can you explain all of the exterior materials to see how it fits into our neighborhood? Can you talk about rental rate ranges? And then the biggest thing I'm worried about is how a residential problem is going to be resolved, because I guarantee you we're very welcoming. We're not saying we don't want the diversity of rental units. We absolutely welcome that. But for problems, we're going to come down pretty significant on those at the property, as we do anywhere in our immediate area. So I'd just like to learn more about that. Thank you.
Give Lauren just a second here to catch up with everyone. Okay, Donald Ironman. Donald, I think you're muted.
Sorry, just
thank
all
you.
of those.
Okay, thank you for
miss
that.
Donald, I'm sorry, 1 moment. Lauren just wanted to make sure. Mark, did Lauren capture everything, all of your questions related to the variance requests?
I was just chatting. I'd asked about the rental rate ranges that's expected, and then how will residential problems be handled?
Okay. And just to verify, those are not items that we are voting on. So we typically need to focus on the items that we have been asked to vote on. If the developers would like to share responses on that, they're certainly welcome to do so. But just so everyone is aware, we will not have a vote related to those specific items.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Donald, I'm sorry, please proceed.
Okay, thank you. I get what he was saying about the 20 feet way ridiculous, but I think going down to 5 feet is going in the other extreme. I think there has to be a compromise somewhere between. And I just drove down Phoebus. I've lived down here my entire life, 50-something years. And you put this here, you are going to have parking on Phoebus, and they're saying a 14-foot wide driveway and 5 feet to be able to see around. You're going to have accidents down there. So I really don't think, and you're also not allowing for a loading zone anywhere or loading of anything. I think the driveway really should be 20 feet or at least something better than 14 so they can pull in and be unloading out of the driveway. I mean, you're not really giving these people a way in and out when they're moving in and moving out except clogging up the street. And I understand the gentleman said that for this code on the street and all, that the city will come in and take and look it over and everything, but I really don't trust that to happen. I really think that pulling it down to what they want to do is going to cause accidents, them pulling in and out of the driveways, because it's not going to give clear vision. So really, I'd like to know, why isn't there any place for people to load and unload when they're moving in and moving out? I mean, it doesn't look like that's really been considered. It's like, okay, they got this nice home, get there, but how do you get into it and out of it? Because Moeller, there's no really place to park on Moeller. And Phoebus, that's going to be blocked up real quick. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Donald. Vicki Retterer.
Yeah, I had a couple questions. Is there a variance for the height, or is the height within an acceptable standard? And what are the square footage of these units? That I'm just curious as to what they are. And are there any decks on top? It looked like there was something on top of the building. I didn't know if it was air conditioning or whatever. Are people going to be able to go outside on these upper floors? And I do have some concerns about that clear vision. because the city's really strict. Like if you park within so many feet of a driveway just because of clear vision, and I really have concerns going down to 5 feet with clear vision. So those are my questions.
Thank you, Vicki. Tom Less.
Has the city staff review come through yet, or are you guys still pending on that? And that'll be answered, I know, at the end here. The city staff review is also going to address the clear vision, safety, and a number of the other driveway issues that were brought up as well. That's typically the engineering department at the city will review all of those and make comment on it. So, okay, yeah, it looks like 719. So we don't have that yet. But they'll typically be required to comply with any city comments regarding those for safety. That's just informational.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. Are there any additional questions before we move on to the answer portion? All right. Oh, Sarah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's actually Tony. 2 questions or comment / question. I just wanted to kind of reiterate with what Vicki had mentioned about potential 3rd floor or upper roof access. That was something that had come up on another project that came through Merion Village up on Zimfer Street. And on that project, that was removed to help gain support for the project to move forward. So I just wanted to kind of remind everyone of that. And then the second piece I wanted to note was the setback off of the road or off of the right of way seems closer than the adjacent properties. And I was just curious if there was a further out view that we could kind of understand how this project relates to kind of the streetscape in general. I'm a little concerned that those buildings are too close to the sidewalk.
Thank you, Tony. Okay. Final call for questions. Anything additional before we move on? Fantastic. All right. So David, Kevin, Aaron, if you can see the questions on the screen, if you would just like to go through those, and we will move through that process.
Sure.
Loving the efficiency of this. Aaron or Kevin, I
Sure.
honestly cannot remember from the initial concept whether or not it included continuation of the alley through the site.
Sure, I can describe that. The previous iteration we presented was a 5-story apartment building. This is a 3-story townhouse building. And the 5-story building was built on top of a structured parking garage that had one-way access from Moeller. So, excuse me, two-way access from Moeller. So there was some concern that came up during our presentation that there would not be any access to Phoebus, and Moeller was, possibly a higher traffic or more difficult traffic because it's only one way. So that's a major revision from our last presentation, that we are providing two-way access now. The alley in the center of the lot is also technically not an alley as we understand it. We understand that the right-of-way connection east and west between Moeller and Phoebus is just sort of an ad hoc alley at the moment. There is actually land ownership that prevents you, theoretically could prevent you from using the alley to the west of the site and connecting into our property. So there is no through alley connection, the lot right now owned by the city. It's private property to our west. And that's
great.
Both.
I'm going to have you answer the next question too, Kevin.
Okay. Exterior materials. We're happy to talk about that. It's mostly brick, fiber cement siding. There is some standing seam board and batten siding. I would say it's maybe slightly above what conventional construction would be in the neighborhood. There's no vinyl siding included. And we like the materials. They're natural materials. They're very contextual. So that's that.
So, I mean, those are all very high quality building materials. When I do single family residential work out in the suburbs, you can't imagine the fights I get into over vinyl siding, and to have somebody come into an urban neighborhood and commit to all natural and hardy board is, that's music to my ears. That would make my life easier if people would do that in the burbs.
I don't know if Aaron wants to talk about rates. I do know, based on what we've discussed with Aaron, these are planned to be condos. So, Aaron, if you want to chime in a bit, but if not, they're just going to be condos as far as we know. Yeah.
Yep, that's the only plan.
Okay.
So it's for sale product. Yeah, I'll weigh in on that, Kevin. And
number 4, if you want to take that, Dave.
You're certainly welcome to chime in. To me, 5 feet is an appropriate separation. There's a building code requirement there, which we will most certainly adhere to. And in these urban neighborhoods, whether it's Merion or Schumacher or German Village, 5 feet and less is really the standard throughout the entire neighborhood. And creating that condition here is consistent with the fabric of this neighborhood.
Yeah, and one thing I'll chime in at too is the single family house to the northeast corner. You can't see my mouse anymore. Northeast would be the other side there. Unit 4. That's very similar to the house adjacent. Also down on Moeller, we have 5 feet minimum, basically at the alley, but we're stepping the building back mostly to nearly match the existing house to the west. So it's a tight site too. So we think the 5 foot is appropriate. In terms of loading zone, I will say it's a 2-way alley, or a 2-way driveway really, that we've created for the majority of the site. For moves, certainly I think there would be enough space in the 20-foot drive aisle where a moving truck could be parked temporarily and residents could still drive around it. So I would say we've got, a fairly, actually it's 24 feet wide at our 2-way. Our 2-way traffic, which exceeds the 20-foot minimum that the city requires. Variance on height of the building is an easy one. There is no height variance being requested. Our buildings are less than 35 feet, and that's the standard zoning height for almost all of the city. In terms of square footage, Aaron, do you want to talk about square footage at all? It's not really related to the zoning, but we can answer the question if you want.
And lightly, there's a mix of unit sizes that you could probably kind of
give
a quick
they're roughly I gotta pull it up here. I think they're roughly between 2,500 square feet for our units that have attached garages, and maybe only as low as I'm trying to pull it up here, sorry, on a different screen. The unit sizes are about I think they're about 1,800 square feet on the building to the west. So I'd say between 1,800 and 2,500 square feet. Decks proposed for the building. There are balconies for the majority of the units that front the courtyard. There are front porches and upper balconies for the single family house. There are front porches and balconies as well for the house facing Fridas. Vision triangle. David, you might have more experience on this just because you do more projects maybe that ask for this variance, but I will point out that vision triangles are measured from our lot lines. When I'm driving my car, I always pull out to at least 3 feet into the street before I can really confidently look. So the vision triangle is measured in our property, and I think given this site and the way people will actually be pulling in and out, the vision triangle is something that it would be unusual to rely on for safe driving.
Yeah, and I would say that what Mr. Less said earlier is perfectly accurate. This will be reviewed by the city's traffic management folks, and I'm confident that they're going to deem it acceptable because it is measured from property line, and most of us, when we're driving, we're pulling out into the right of way, and that's going to give us here plenty of opportunity to see cars coming either direction.
Yeah, I'd say there's at least 10 to 12 feet between the property line and the curb. Yep. Another question, I'm trying to remember the list. In terms of the project relating to the sidewalk, I mean, we want to have landscaping provided at both Moeller and Phoebus. You know, we have front porches on the Moeller side, which fits the character of the neighborhood, and we think provides a very inviting, you know, front door for that 3-unit building to the south. And we would have, you know, with these being condos, we would expect that each condo owner would provide their own garden and things that, you know, every homeowner in Merion Village, you know, likes to do, or mostly likes to do. Same with on the Phoebus side. You know, I think it will be nicely landscaped in the courtyard. So we think that's a nice amenity to the street. We do have a security gate, but mostly just for privacy. You'll be able to see through to the landscaping when you're on Moeller. There's also space between the buildings and the sidewalk where we would be providing landscaping as well. And I think there was a question about parking at the street. There's a bunch of street driveways right now in the existing condition of this Kroger parking lot that actually will go away with this development. We'll be able to provide actually more street parking on Phoebus because we're getting rid of all the curb cuts. So there'll be a net gain, honestly, by this project in terms of on-street parking, which is of course somewhat unusual for these types of projects.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Looks like we got through everything that was on the list, so that is fantastic. So I'm just going to give Lauren a couple moments here to finish documenting the responses, and then we will scroll back up and display the full list of voting items for tonight so that everyone is aware of what we're voting on. And Lauren, is there any way we could move just that screenshot image in the list just so we can have the full list visible as I call on folks to vote on each numbered item? Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So let me make sure I have here on my list the correct number of vote items as well. Do we have a total of 8, Lauren? Oh, I'm sorry. Nope.
There are
11.
quite
Okay.
a few. Yeah.
Okay, great. Give me one moment. Okay. All right, so as we vote, everyone, if you'd like to vote for or against all of the items, that's perfectly fine. If you would like to have varying votes between different items on the list, please just use, you know, item 1, 2, 3, and that's how I'll be documenting our votes this evening. So I will go through the list of who I see is present based on my list of membership. If you've got a second member with you tonight attending, just let me know that when I call on you and I'll capture both of your votes. So we will move through the process. Okay.
Yeah, sorry for the confusion. Just the way that this is written out duplicated some of the items just to kind of clarify where it was being proposed, if that makes sense. Because there are 5 different parcels, I think, included in this single proposal.
Okay. Are we required, does the commission need us to, Tom, I'm sorry, Aaron and Tom, I know you're here tonight, if you can weigh in. I just need to make sure that we are capturing the votes on the items as the commission will need them when they're reviewing and when it's being reported to the city. So what is the best way for us to do this, commissioners, if you could weigh in?
I think I still like to have the variances separate. That way, if you know, MVA takes issue with a certain variance, we can, you know, carry that consideration forward versus, you know, it's much easier than when someone has a blanket no, but it's really just one issue. We prefer to narrow in on the issue when we can. This was split up, I think, mostly to try to keep the parcels, you know, the variances transfer with the parcel. So that's kind of how they're written there. I don't see an issue with, like, if someone says yes to all or no to all, that's fine.
But if we were to capture votes on items 1 through 11 as they are listed here, would that be accurate, or do we also need to capture votes on the additional parcel? Just want to make sure everything's correct when we move through this.
I mean, as long as we treat them separately for vote counts, I don't see any issue. Aaron, I don't know if you've got any different feel.
No, I think you're right. I think, however, and I think you have some flexibility in how the Civic Association makes a recommendation to the area commission. So we will take that and feedback however you want to do it.
Okay. And David, I saw you had your hand kind of, did you have something you wanted to add?
I do, and certainly it's not for me to ultimately decide, and I understand the way these are grouped, but it's a little bit confusing because ultimately all these parcels are going to be combined into one.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if it were up to me, I would vote on the 7 variances requested as opposed to distinguishing parcel to parcel, because I just see that as leading to confusion as we move to the Southside Area Commission.
Okay.
Hold on, I can pull up the original notice.
Perfect.
Yeah, and that's fine too if you want to do it that way. I would still request that we do them as separate variance votes, and I mean, for the sake of counts anyway, again, helping to carry it to the area commission and then further to council.
As in items 1 through 7, Tom?
Yeah, as opposed to like one vote only, because that just becomes
Of course. Okay, so what Lauren is doing is she's pulling up the original notice, which I believe does indicate that those items are between 1 and 7, and that is how we will capture everyone's votes this evening, is on a total of 7 items.
Yeah, let's make it 8, because one of them is the rezoning.
Okay. So we have 1 rezoning item, which will be number 1, and then items 2 through 8 will be the variance requests themselves. Sorry for the confusion, everyone. When there's a lot of items requested on a project, we have to make sure that the votes are captured accurately, because we don't want to give incorrect information over when we pass this recommendation on to the commission. So, Lauren,
Jessica, while that's being updated, there's
Yes.
just a question in the chat. Just wanted to clarify from an earlier question about whether or not there were rooftop decks. And I understood it to be that there are not, but there are balconies and street level porches. So maybe just a clarification on that before we move forward.
Kevin or David, could you clarify that?
So we are showing stair access going up to the roof decks. It may not be something that will make sense for the cost of the project, because they would become very large balconies, or very large roof decks. But we are not requesting any height variance with this proposal. And certainly I can imagine how these units would want to have a roof deck, because it's valuable for anyone who lives there. And there are already, a variety of outdoor spaces that exist on this development. So we are showing guards at the tops of some of these buildings, and have drawn the parapets to be so that they can be utilized as roof decks if the homeowner chooses to do so, which I think is on par with every building in this neighborhood. I mean, there are no restrictions in the zoning ordinance about roof decks or any additional building height that's being requested as part of the zoning application.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, just give Lauren a moment here to document that. Okay. All right, folks, as I call on you, the list of items are on the screen. So again, if you'd like to vote on items differently throughout the list, please just let me know where that vote will be different for you. We will go with the first name I see here. Lauren Cardoni, you're up first.
Let me through them really quick. Yes to all, and Chris is here as well.
Okay, Chris, go right ahead.
Yes to all.
Thank you very much. Okay, give me one moment here, everyone. Just need to. Okay, and next on the list, I have Kevin Parzik.
I am going to abstain,
Thank you
given
very
my
much.
connection to the project.
I understand. Thank you, Kevin. Okay, let me make a note here. All right. And next we have Donald Ironman.
Thank you. I'll vote yes to everything, but no to 7, 8, and 4.
Okay, so let me just verify yes to everything except 4, 7, and 8 where you are a no, correct?
Yeah, I still think that not big enough feet each.
Thank you very much, Donald. Okay, moving on here. Eric Stegmuller. Eric, are you with us? Okay, we'll circle back to Eric. Aaron Sink.
Yes to all.
Thank you, Aaron. All right. Jamie Bible.
Yes to all.
Thank you, Jamie. Kyle Green.
Yes to all.
Thank you very much. All right, let's see here. Lauren Larrick.
Yes to all, and Mike is here with me.
Mike, go
And
right ahead.
yes to all for me.
Thanks to you both. Okay, Lena Grajewski.
Yes, except 7 and 8.
Okay, so we have yes, except for 7 and 8 where we have a no. Okay. Mark Huckabee.
Hey, Mark Huckabee and Louis Tejada are no to 1, 4, 7, 8. That's 1, 4, 7, and 8. 2 votes each, and yes to the others.
Okay, and I'm sorry, Mark. What's Louis's last name again?
Tejada.
Perfect. Give me just one moment, and I'll put these votes in for both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. All right. Next we have, let's see here, verify my names. Nathan Bible. Are you with us, Nathan?
Yeah, sorry, I got by the Google Zoom mute. I'm yes to all, please.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, Sarah Rell and Tony Rell.
Yes to all for me.
Okay.
No to 6 and 7 for me.
Okay, so, and Tony, you're yes on the rest, correct?
Correct.
Okay, no to 6 and 7. Thank you both very much. All right, Tom Less.
Yes to all.
Okay, thank you, Tom. All right, Vicki Retterer.
I'm no to 4, 6, 7, and 8. Yes to everything else. And Kent is here with me.
Okay.
I'm no to 4, 6, 7, and 8. Yes to everything else.
Okay, thanks to you both. Give me one moment here. Okay, we got those in.
Jess, can you hear me now?
I can, yes. Go right ahead, Eric.
Okay. I typed it in the chat too because I'm trying to still figure out what's going on with my laptop. Sorry. I'm yes to all.
Okay, thank you. Is Mark with you?
No, he's not.
Okay, all right, great. Let's see here. And Jen, I don't think Jen is with us. All right. Okay, have I missed anyone? Oh, I'm sorry, Megan Dixon, I see your name.
I'm a yes to all except for 7.
Except for 7, Megan?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, just going to scroll through the list here. Is there anyone present that believes that they are a member? You need to have been joined and paid dues by June 17th in order to vote this evening. Is there anyone that I missed? Okay.
I don't remember when I paid my dues. I'm the newest member, Christine Canute, so I might have missed that deadline.
Okay, Christine, give me one moment and I'll just check, okay?
Thanks.
Christine, it looks like you actually joined on June 17th, so you are eligible to vote. I apologize for not seeing your name earlier. Let me just put you down here 1 second. Okay, and how do you vote, Christine?
I'm going to vote yes to all except for 7 and 8.
Okay, so yes on all except 7 and 8.
And 4.
Okay, 4, 7, and 8 are no's for you?
Correct.
Okay.
Thanks.
Absolutely. All right, anyone else I may have missed? Okay, in that case, I will quickly run through the vote count on each item. I will just say across the board, we have 1 abstention on each item. So on item 1, 18 yes, 2 no. 2 is 20 yes, 0 no. 3 is 20 yes, 0 no. 4 is 14 yes, 6 no. 5 is 20 yes, 0 no. 6 is 17 yes, 3 no. 7 is 11 yes, 9 no. And 8 is 13 yes, 7 no. So we will share all of that information with the commissioners and pass that along as the recommendation on each item from the association.
Thank you all very much.
Yes, thank you for presenting and sharing with us this evening. Sorry that went a little longer. It's just with all of these variance requests, it can take a bit longer to capture it correctly, but we appreciate everyone's patience and time as we worked through that process. So
I get paid by the hour, so I hate the efficiency of it.
Well, we apologize for the efficiency. Wonderful. Thanks so much, everyone. And Lauren, I'll certainly pass those numbers on to you after the meeting tonight.
Yes, thank you. And then really quickly, there were a few demolition items that I think we probably need to mention. And I can never remember what our procedures are for demolitions. I think it's just simply to notify the association that they're happening. So there have been a few that have come through. There was 271 East Moeller, demolition of a garage, 242 Thurman Avenue, another demolition of a garage. I think in both cases they were pretty old structures, nothing significant. But the latest one to come through was for 1430 South High Street. And it is apparently one of the structures in the rear of the hospital, but it's not totally clear to me what that is. So I was wondering if Tom or Aaron might be able to speak to that.
To be honest, Lauren, I have not looked at that one, so I can pull it up and see. So it's 1430 South High?
Yeah, and the city's website, like where the application or information is for that, it doesn't really say much other than it was a 3-story structure.
Looks like it might have been ancillary one at the Mary Haven. Appears like that's the case. There's, well, yeah, I'll have to check to see which building they mean.
It looked like it might have been the one on the Southwood side, but
Okay, yeah, that would make sense. It's a slightly larger building, although it's a giant box, which doesn't really fit in. So I don't know that I have concerns.
So I walked by there the other day, and it looked like they were using it as office space. I mean, it looked like there were still cars in the parking lot and people using the building. So that was a little bit surprising, but
There's another one that's part of the property on South 3rd that looks more kind of outboard industrial use or
yeah, but it wasn't
equipment.
3 stories, so I wasn't.
Yeah.
Sure
The only one I can think of is the southern one that's that office space one.
Yeah.
It's kind of an ugly building though, so I don't lament it, I guess.
And to Lauren's point, unless a primary structure essentially is on some type of a historical register or has a significant reason, as Lauren mentioned, we don't vote on these items anyway. The city has a process where if there is something of significance that would allow a building to potentially be preserved, then our zoning committee could make a recommendation to us to attempt to challenge that, but that is certainly not the case in the state of any of the items that she's mentioned this evening.
Okay, well, if anything comes up, feel free to reach out to me or Tom.
Thank you both. All right, fantastic. Well, we will move on to the next item on our agenda. Touch base on the Southside Scholarship. So as many of you know, we've been offering a scholarship to at least one graduating senior who lives in the South Side and attends school at South High for the last few years, or I believe 4 years. This year will be no different. We have a full committee with representatives from Merion Village, as well as partnering neighbors from South Central Commons and Southside Stay. They are working together to not only review the applicants that we've received this year, but also the process of our scholarship committee and how that works and what that looks like going forward. So you saw earlier, Eric had the treasurer's report available that showed the current funds available in the scholarship. We did raise a total of, I believe, $2,511 in our online fundraiser this year. Perfect. Okay. Additional funds could still be raised through that fundraiser, but that is the amount that has been raised currently. So the plan is to essentially allot a budget of $2,500 to the scholarship committee, who will then proceed with reviewing those applicants, which they have completed that process, and then they will make their determination of how many applicants are awarded and which portion of that budget is awarded to each applicant. If additional funds are raised, we will certainly carry those over in our scholarship fund for next year and years to come. So Lauren, is there anything else you'd like to share on scholarship committee? I know that we'll have more next month, but that's the update I have.
No, I guess I would just say, this is the committee, the process has changed every year. And like Jess said, we're really trying to kind of come up with something that's a little bit more cohesive, that could, transferable, and every year could be a little bit more the same. COVID has, made everything more complicated as it does. So now that we've had to fundraise online, one thing we didn't anticipate this year, originally, I believe we've announced that the scholarship was about $2,300, give or take. And we didn't realize that the way the Facebook fundraiser works is that money can still kind of keep coming in. And there's a delay that we weren't prepared for. So it is a little bit more, which is great. It's a little bit more money than we anticipated. So the scholarship committee kind of needs to go back and just make sure we're comfortable with the allotments that we had already discussed. So there's a little delay this year just because of that unexpected, which is, a great addition. We have more money, so that's never a bad thing. But just a little update on sort of that process, and hopefully we'll get it streamlined and kind of get that figured out for the years to come.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lauren. Thanks to everyone on the scholarship committee. It's exciting to kind of see how much work they've been putting in to make our process work really well for years to come. So very excited about that. Okay, next item on the list is the 2021 Merion Village Garden Tour. So as you may know, maybe not, things are a little different this year. We will have an in-person tour on Sunday, July 11th. So that is this coming Sunday, and that's from 10 to 3. That will be front yards only. I believe there are a total of 9 front yards on that tour. So we ask obviously that you are not entering the yards, but that you certainly take some time, stroll by those front yards, and enjoy the landscaping that folks are sharing on that day. We're also going to encourage folks over the course of the following week to, stop by and check out those front yards at that time as well. The hosts of the gardens may be available on their front porches to answer questions on the actual day of the tour on July 11th. So that's kind of the official tour day if you can make it out, and we hope that you can. We will also have a virtual component again this year. So Allison Wilford, who has been heading up our garden tour efforts for the last several years, she is documenting beautiful videos from several garden tour hosts around the neighborhood that she will produce, and we will publish those to our YouTube page. So you'll be able to go watch them individually, watch a whole playlist, whatever you prefer. But it's kind of exciting because then you can do the garden tour anytime you like from the comfort of your own home. So very excited about that again. We'll be sharing lots of updates on social media as those videos are ready, and we hope everyone is able to get out and check out those front yards this weekend. Kind of as part of that conversation, we've included the garden tour this year as part of the 2021 Merion Village Summer Fun Days. So Fun Days are kicking off this weekend with both fitness in the park. It will be yoga this Saturday at 9 a.m. in Moeller Park. Following day is, of course, the garden tour. Those yoga sessions yoga or HIIT classes in the park will be every Saturday at 9 a.m. from July 10th through October 2nd. So very exciting there. I believe that's a total of 13 classes that will be available. There's no pre-registration required. You just show up with your mat, and then we ask that everyone give a minimum of $5 to $10 donation directly to the instructor for each class, because they are volunteers. Very excited about that as well. We're also going to have some food truck events, Food Truck and Fun, which is essentially a food truck the third Thursday of each month at Moeller Park from 5 to 8 p.m. We also encourage folks to bring lawn games, a blanket to hang out in Moeller Park, have a bit of a picnic, do some socializing, and have an opportunity to, get reconnected with your neighbors outdoors and enjoy some delicious food. The first food truck that is going to be serving us at this event is Chilljoy. So if you're here in the neighborhood, you probably know and love Chilljoy, one of our local favorites. So she will be serving up delicious Hawaiian ice and ice cream at the park next Thursday from 5 to 8. We hope everyone will go check that out. Have ice cream for dinner. I will. We won't judge you. We strongly encourage that little extra joy in life. So hope to see lots of familiar faces that day. We'll have some other aspects of Summer Fun Days as well. We are currently working on establishing a community art piece that we hope to install on a local business here in Merion Village. We won't formally announce that yet, just until we've confirmed some details, but we are currently looking for local artists who'd like to work with us on that project. So you can head over to merionvillage.org and apply for that project and let us know that you'd like to work with us on that. Kind of open-ended right now. We're really looking to talk to artists and see what could be recommended, possibly a component of bringing the community in to help participate in that mural, similar to what happened at the Fresh Market. So very exciting. Please stay tuned for that. Another item you can submit is we are launching our special 2021 Merion Village t-shirts again this year. That was very popular last year. Folks really loved having those kind of special t-shirts for the year. So we are currently looking for folks to submit their designs. Again, merionvillage.org, and you can do that through don't want to forget the date. You have 1 week left to submit those designs. So you can head to the website. It tells you the specifications of what that design needs to look like. For example, all one color, and what kind of size we might need. But very excited to see some designs coming in to be featured on a t-shirt this year. There are several folks here tonight in the meeting who are part of the Summer Fun Days Committee. So anyone want to elaborate on anything or mention something I may have forgotten?
If we happen to get rained out, the makeup day is Sunday for
Fitness in the Park?
Fitness. Yep.
Okay. And is that every week, Tom? Is Sunday always the makeup day for the Saturday class?
Typically will be. If we'll reschedule if we happen to have, hopefully not, knock on wood, too many weekends with rain.
Okay, sounds good. We're not going to have any rain on Saturday for the next 13 weeks, everyone. So it's been decided. Let's hope that actually works out that way. Otherwise, I don't think I've missed anything, but please do follow us on social media if you're not already. That's where we'll be giving plenty of updates about Summer Fun Days and posting reminders for when you should head over to the park for the food trucks or for your Saturday morning yoga workout. So very excited and can't wait to start seeing people get to enjoy all these pop-up events. Okay, I will move on to committee updates. We don't have anyone from the Beautification Committee joining us tonight, so we'll pass over that. Social, Mike, do you want to talk at all? I know that's kind of tied into Fun Days, but do you want to update folks on that?
Yeah, I think just like you said, we kind of combined forces with the Summer Fun Days this year, so we'll have the hangout in the park, basically like a happy hour. On the third Thursday of every month this summer. And, we'll see how long we do that. Obviously, you probably won't be doing that in the winter. We'll we'll figure that out by then. But in the meantime, yeah, well, the food truck's there. So come out on Thursday, the third Thursday of every month. Feel free to bring some lawn games like cornhole or anything else that you might have, blanket or chairs to just chill in the park, and look forward to seeing everyone.
Awesome. Thanks. Mike, are dogs on leashes welcome?
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. All right, we obviously already covered our zoning items tonight, and then Lena is kind of working on some ideas for membership committee, so we're not going to put her on the spot tonight. Lena just joined us on the board last month, so she'll have some ideas to share soon on membership. If you're interested in helping us expand membership or just kind of have some ideas, let us know. I'm sure Lena would love to loop you into her process. So.
Hey Jess, on that note, we'll most likely be trying to kick off our business memberships in 2022. Again, after a 2-year hiatus in, because of COVID. So if anyone does have ideas on how to, revamp that or reboot that or just, continue back on like we were previously doing, let's also include that as well. And we could kind of work with Lena and the folks interested in some ideas on how best to do that.
That is an excellent point, Eric. And if you are a local business owner, if you've been a business member in the past, or you certainly know people who may be interested in that, we would love to hear your feedback as well, because, we're looking forward to next year hopefully being much more normal and better than what we've seen. But we also understand that as small business owners, you've been hit really hard the last couple of years, and we know that maybe exactly what we were doing before doesn't make a lot of sense. But we want to hear from you. You're the business owners, or if you know business owners, please tell them to send us their feedback. That would be really helpful to us in kind of what that process and what that structure looks like for next year. We typically like to kick that off in October, so that people who do choose to be business members are able to join early and get the full list of benefits throughout the entire year. So any feedback you have, please don't hesitate to share that. Okay, Southside Area Commission updates, Aaron or Tom, anything you'd like to share?
You want to go first?
I'll start. Yeah, so on, sorry, look at my calendar. Wednesday, July 21st, we will be, the Public Services Committee will be meeting, and we are going to host CODA to talk about all kinds of things CODA. So service, station amenities, link us, corridor planning projects, you name it, they'll be there to share the things that they're working on and discuss anything else that is top of mind for folks. I think one of the biggest things to note is that due to the end of the governor's emergency health order as a public body, we are no longer able to conduct online virtual meetings. So we are moving back to in-person meetings as of July 1st. So our next area commission meeting will be at the Barrick Recreation Center meeting. Look to our Facebook to confirm. It will likely be at Barrick as well. I'm just waiting for confirmation. Tom, all yours.
I don't know that I have a whole lot to add to that, actually. So we're typically off in August, I believe. I think you might have already mentioned that. So that'll be the plan, although we still have to keep some of the zoning items moving. So after our meeting this month, we'll take a little break and come back. I don't know that there's been any other big developments that have come through in the last couple of months. It's mostly been small stuff, so nothing of major note. So yeah, I think that's about all I've got. Still continuing with our committees. If you're interested in one of our area commission committees, everyone is welcome to join if you're in the area. Aaron runs the public services one, and I have the safety, health, welfare, and equity one. So
thanks you both for your update.
Soon.
Okay, Vicki, I will ask you, I didn't receive anything from Dee this month. Do you have any Block Watch updates you'd like to share tonight?
Sorry, yes, I have some updates.
Go right ahead.
A couple things. Safe Streets is out there and they're actively out in the streets on their bicycles. In order to keep Safe Streets going, we really need to, be contacting them about issues and things that are coming up. So if you are having any trouble or you're noticing criminal activity in your area around your residence or business, we encourage you to reach out to them. There's a phone number you can call for either the 13th precinct or the 11th precinct. It's 614-645-3660. And there's 2 different emails that you can send a message to Safe Streets. If you're in, let's see, North Merion Village is in the 11th precinct. So that email is centralsafestreets@Columbus Police. And if you're south of Freebus, that Safe Streets is safesoutheast@columbuspolice.org, because that's in the 13th. Did I say those backwards? Let's see. Oh, the 11th is, I think, the north part, and 13th is the south part. Sorry about that. But please, reach out if you notice a house with criminal activity or any suspicious activity or anything going on. Reach out to them. They're on their bicycles. They're reaching out to people in the neighborhood and very active. Let's see. There's a couple of things. There's a lot of homeless camps going on right now. There's a homeless camp. I think it's over on Front Street behind a window cleaning business over there. And there's some violent people involved in some of these homeless camps. They just closed one down recently. It was the one that was under the Green Lawn Bridge. There's a little park kind of on the corner of Front and Green Lawn. And there was a camp really close to that area. And some city workers were over there working, and they were attacked by a couple of the homeless people. And the city actually went in and shut down that camp just due to, there were some city workers that were attacked from a couple people at that place. There's a lot going on with some homeless at Livingston and 3rd. Let's see. There at the entrance to the Audubon Park, there's maybe not everybody's like this, but there may be some violent people in some of these. So just, be on alert when you're around some of these homeless areas. There's another place over the old post office building on Whittier, in the loading dock behind it, where they've kind of taken over that area. So they've been talking to some people in the area to try to get some resolution on that. Right now, they are not allowed to close down any of these camps because of COVID. There was some real, let me see what she said, some regulation about it. It was set to expire June 30th, so I don't know if it's been extended or not. So.
Vicki, I can clarify a little bit on that. I had some discussion with Officer Medley on that front.
Oh.
So it has nothing to do with COVID. This is the fact that they are on private property. If the private property owner does not complain or say that they are, shouldn't be there, there's no legal issue, or there's no legal means to remove a person when they aren't technically trespassing on private property.
Well, there are CDC guidelines out about it right now, and they were set to expire on the 30th of June.
It's still a matter of entering private property to evict someone from private property. So if it's on public property, there's a different thing. On the Whittier case, they're on private property. So if the property owner does not make a complaint, then, it's a different thing. I have been working with Ann Stewart and Southside Substance Solutions, S4, to do outreach on resources and additional, nearby shelters, that kind of thing, for people experiencing homelessness, to try to help migrate them off of the street. That's typically more effective. The main concern we have when a city comes in and, say, breaks up a camp of homeless people, is that it doesn't get rid of the people. The people still don't have homes, so they're just going to migrate to other areas adjacent. So, the real solution to it is getting to the people, getting them the help that they need to, either if they have drug-related issues, to help them with that, or to find them temporary housing, that type of thing. So we are looking Southside, Southside, they have a really hard name. Substance Solutions, S4, is working on that and has been specifically doing some outreach with some people trained for that exact job. If you see any additional locations, if you can email Ann Stewart, she is heading up some of that work.
Okay. But there are shelters that people can go to if they're not
Correct.
doing drugs or alcohol, or if they're, is that not correct?
Yeah, and then part of it is linking them up to those resources.
Yeah.
So that's where there are people who do this, social work to go have those conversations and help. Mark,
We do have a large number in our area, though, on the south side, in comparison to the rest of the city.
Yeah, Mark, go ahead. I don't want to.
Pardon?
Oh, Mark, you're muted.
I was just going to agree, Tom, you're correct. I'm the head of an Ohio Health Community Paramedic team, and my office is downtown on the Grant campus. And those shelters are functioning. However, they do have some restrictions, and there's a multitude of social economical reasons why people would never go to a shelter. They do restricted hours, all sorts of other things. Just everything, right? But the other thing is the U.S. Supreme Court ruled recent years that police cannot evict people from public sidewalks and public spaces. That has a First Amendment expression. So the rules changed a few years ago, and some people may not be aware of that. You cannot just simply get rid of the homeless anymore, nor would that be appropriate to get rid of the homeless, right? They have factors affecting them that if they affected us, we would feel quite differently, right? So it's a whole holistic approach to help a person see where they can be and help them with the resources should they choose to get there. So coming from some other states 20-something years ago to here, I can tell you there is a significant number of population of homeless that actually have doctorate degrees, multiple postgraduate degrees. They have had life circumstances that have led them to being on the streets. It's not just an addict's world. It's not just a trafficking world. It's not just those things. There are all sorts of reasons we can never imagine, and there is no easy fix. Some cities are doing things like homeless housing, where they create small neighborhoods for the homeless intently and things like that. But you're exactly right. Moving and destroying the camp doesn't fix the problem. It may make it better looking. It may move the safety problem from a high occupancy area to a lower occupancy area, but it does nothing to actually fix the root cause of the issue. It's very.
Yeah, and mental health too is another one to add to the list of mental health crises. That kind of thing can lead to.
There was a lot of violence and a lot of issues that were going on around the Greenland Bridge area. Okay.
Yeah, I know that one. I saw a lot of that activity there on the corner. I mean, it's just right there in the Greenway.
I did want to mention too, police will be stepping up some monitoring of local parks here, particularly in early to mid evenings, where we've seen more of the gunshots lately. So they've been using their shot spotter to target kind of where some of those locations are, and they've kind of verified that seems to be around parks more often than not. So they are stepping up enforcement of that. That was just a this week note that came through.
Yeah. Another thing was the Blockwatch is looking to put together some community conversations with commanders for the 11th precinct and the 13th precinct, where we can have like a Q&A type of question. And if we're really lucky, maybe we can get the new police chief at one of these. I don't know. So it's something we're trying to put together and work on right now. More to come. We'll put a message out on Nextdoor whenever the meetings are set up, if anyone would like to join.
Vicki, do you know, I'm not sure if you know this yet, I know that some cities and some groups in Columbus are doing National Night Out this year, even if it's a little different. Do you know if the Blockwatch is planning to do anything this year?
No, last month I said things had gotten pushed back because what's going on, and it takes we didn't do any fundraising for it, and we did a lot of fundraising for it when we did it in the past. So we'll be back on track next year again.
Okay, great.
Yeah, just with COVID and everything.
Yeah, it's hard to plan for something several months in the future when you're not sure what it'll look like. You see why we did a different version of the festival this year, so we totally understand that.
Yeah. But anyway, we plan to get back to National Night Out and do fundraising for it and get some donations and make it a great night like it was a year ago. So.
Great. Well, thank you. Anything else for Blockwatch, Vicki?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. That was fantastic. Okay. So those are that completes our actual agenda updates. I did put on the agenda that the Southside Area Commission meeting would be held virtually. That is my mistake. As you heard from Aaron, that is not the case. So that will be held in person going forward. I will open the floor up if anyone has any comments, questions, anything they'd like to discuss or share before we adjourn this evening. Okay.
I forgot to mention Avenue for All is on August 21st.
Oh, cool. Okay, awesome. We'll certainly look forward to that. All right, well then otherwise, again, everyone continue to follow us on social media. We're also trying to make sure we share a bit more on Nextdoor. We created a Merion Village account so that we can hopefully make sure that folks who maybe aren't on Facebook or Instagram can still see our updates. So please be sure to interact with those if you like seeing them, and we'll try to keep those up to make sure that we are reaching as many folks as possible. Otherwise, I will go ahead and tell everyone have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We look forward to seeing you next month and at all of the exciting Summer Fun Days events that are upcoming. Everyone have a fantastic evening. Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Jeff.